There's your live notification. And it's stuck. Come on. We're there. Almost. Kind of. Saved by the bell.
There it is.
Got it. We're back. We're live. All right. I mean, why wouldn't the show start off with some kind of hitch when it's like kind of a big deal's here today? So,
yeah.
But first and foremost, guys, thank you so much for tuning in and joining us for another episode of the EMPI Insider. I'm super stoked. This is an episode that's been in the works for quite a while, I think. It's been in the makings. I was a little gun shy to ask him. He didn't want to step up. So we're just going to have some fun today. We're going to talk with Chuck Foreman from Pro Eagle Jacks, talk about his awesome product, the safety of it all, the necessity to have it, and some of the history and background of it, answer your questions and why and what, and maybe what jack you think you should have in your car. Talk about some upcoming events, hanging out with, don't forget, DJ Eddie Express on the engineering side. Jesse's back working some of the cameras in the future and watching your guys' comments. But as always, for you guys, thanks for the loyal listeners that are already chiming in and here. Like Darren Zumpston, Johnson Valley resident and future Class 11 racer who just picked up his car. Congratulations on a new pre-runner car. And I know you got another one. Actually, pick up 2 cars in a week. Can you send me some money, please? I'd appreciate it. Eric chiming in. Thank you so much. And man, I mean, really, I want to get right to it. Couple of things, housekeeping. First of all, though, we had our first drag race kind of event out of the gate. And at Verona last weekend, Bobby Miller put on a cool little drag race event. It was everybody was excited to be out. It was great to see the friends and fellow racers, and everybody was doing the proper thing, wearing their mask. And we had probably about a 50 car count. So that was awesome. A lot of stuff's pending right now. I did get a text conversation with Stanley Ford and the Ford brothers about the Prado show. I'll give you some more details on that towards the end of the show today. Don't let me forget to get with that, but I want to kind of allude to it while I'm waiting some last couple of updates. I just were getting them while we were getting ready for the show. So hang tight on those. Other than that, man, without further ado, let's get right to it. So guys, please help me welcome Chuck Foreman.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me.
No, man, this is cool. I'm glad we were finally able to get this. I mean, a lot of people don't know that, like, even before I was here, I was buying product from you.
Yeah, through the Austin International side of the business. Yeah.
So it's just cool to sit down and actually, I want people to hear the story. I want people to understand that it's not it's just not just another floor jack. It's not just, I have this floor jack or this, that. There was a need to create it.
Right.
And you found the right niche for it. And then I want to talk about some of the other stuff that you were seeing. I saw the post that came out about, copycats and imitations and stuff like that. That's just got to chap your ass too. So we'll get on that. But I mean, and it's such a vague kind of diving in question, but tell us what prompted the Pro Eagle deal.
So I started at Austin International in 2010, and we are a private label manufacturer. So we build product for other companies, put their name on it, put it in their box, and ship it directly to them. And one of the products that we build was floor jacks for another U.S. company, a large brand. And I took the idea to them because I come from the off-road world. My dad raced off-road since I was a kid, and we were taking their jacks or a Craftsman jack or whatever it may be, and we were modifying them so that they worked the way we needed them to work in the dirt and for lifted or tall vehicles. And so I took that idea to them, that company that we were manufacturing for, and they weren't interested in it. Off-road was a niche market. It was too small for them. Mm-hmm. They didn't see the bigger picture of now it's not just off-road. It's not race vehicles. It's not the sand cars. It's anything with taller than stock tires and wheels. Yeah. So we walked out of that meeting, myself and Austin, who's the owner of the company, and said, well, screw it. Let's just do it ourselves. And he's like, well, you think you can? And I said, well, I think so, so he's like, all right, well, let's just do it. Cause we owned the product. They came to us because we manufactured hydraulic jacks. Mm-hmm. So we didn't have any issues with rights to the product or that we were changing it or doing anything at all. So that's where it was born. And it's been a long ride since then.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's been difficult to create a product that a lot of people didn't know that they needed. And when they did realize that they needed it, it was $200 more than what they were used to paying. Yeah. So, they weren't doing the math. They weren't, going, okay, well, if I did buy one of those other brand jacks, then I have to buy $200 worth of other products to bolt onto it and make it do what we want it to do. Yeah. And at that point, you've then you've avoided your warranty. So, even if it's, worked and did everything that you wanted it to do, if a week later, a month later, a year later, it stopped working and you took it back into the store, they tell you to pound sand because it's not, that's not what you bought, anymore. Yeah. So
you brought up a very interesting point too. I think you said it well. A lot of people didn't know. I mean, for me, again, this whole off-road thing for me is a whole nother animal for off-road racing and, getting into that. I mean, that's, dirt bikes and stuff was cool, but never really into that deep. But when I first started getting involved in it and watching it and learning it, and I seen these guys bring in floor jacks with like a hammered piece of aluminum or a street sign, that I've seen is exactly. Like, so they wouldn't sink in. And then I start looking at it and I go, man, it makes perfect sense. Yeah. And now, that's why I was so excited. Cause I'm like, I get excited and worked up when I'm into something and to be able to have that, it's just a cool idea. And then you've worked on shaving weight and the evolution of it all.
Yeah. So it's gone through 4 or 5 different evolutions, and just from the jack that we started off with, like I said, because we manufactured those jacks, we learned what, the jacks didn't or didn't like about being used in the dirt and abused and vibration and all that stuff. And we've made changes internally to fix that and make it work better for what we needed to do. And unfortunately, those companies that we're still building for haven't adopted those changes, and they've stuck with what they already had. And so now ours is, it was born a slight modification from what we were building for them, and now it's completely different. And we not only have that 2-ton jack without the big wheels, now we have the 2-ton with the wheels, and 3-ton, and now the 1.5 ton, and CO2 air jacks, and we've got all kinds of products now.
Yeah, we're I'm trying to watch the comments, guys, so bear with me, and we'll get through them as best we can. I mean, Otter, the Overland bus, I know he's got a cool project he's building, and he's like, the jacks are awesome. He's like, he's got a 1.5 ton that he's using. He's got this bus that he's doing an Overland project with. Nice. So it's Jonathan Pickett said the best thing is that good stuff ain't cheap and cheap stuff ain't good.
That's exactly it.
And it resonates. I mean, a lot of people have a hard time kind of swallowing the fact of, what the MSRPs may go to, and what do they kind of start at?
So the original jack, which was the 2-ton without the big wheels, that one's in the $350 range. And then they go up to $469, which is our 3-ton jack. So everything in between.
But I think a lot of people also don't take into consideration the safety of it all.
Yeah, exactly. When you're stacking blocks of wood or cinder blocks or whatever it may be to get that extra height, because that's what you need, those things can tumble off of there. A lot of people ask about the wheels and if they lock, and what they don't consider is when the jack goes up, it goes up in an arc. So it comes up, but it also comes backwards, which means that the jack needs to be able to roll underneath the load as you're going up. Without those wheels, you don't get that. Yeah. So you've got that, that 4x4 block that you put underneath there, and your jack is now locked on the ground, and you're prying against it sideways, which is, like you said, it gets a little dangerous.
Yeah, there's been sketchy times, even just working in the garage on the race cars and stuff. You see things and just even friends. I'm like, I don't even want to get under that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many of our listeners have been working on something, but have had one kind of slowly leak down on you, and just all these different things that a lesser quality product could really do it.
Yeah.
What, like, as far as the wheels and make, and we'll show them kind of some of the jacks. We brought in one of the 1.5s, and they're all basic, relatively look the same, but just different sizes of it all. But the wheels and the makeup of it all. I mean, how many times the revisions of, I can only imagine what you had to go through just to make some of this stuff work.
To be honest, I don't even know if we're on revision, 10 or if it's 15, but there's been a lot. Like I said, we've learned along the way and what works and what doesn't work. Even in the materials of the jack, we've changed, where the extension goes onto and sits and kind of twists and locks into. At first, it was all aluminum because we wanted to make it light, and aluminum didn't work. When you were, working on your VW, it's one thing, but when you're working on the Super Duty and you need to use it without the extension, it was bending the tabs. And people were constantly calling us to get replacement parts and pieces, which we were happy to provide, but we didn't want those to happen. We didn't want you to have to call us. So, now they're stainless steel, and the extension itself is stainless steel. And so, a lot of people think of the jack as being the hydraulic pump and and that is the main heart of the jack, but all the other parts and pieces are, what goes in together that makes it a Pro Eagle. So.
Well, that and like and I'm just going to start asking random questions that pop up through the feed. So is the construction or the lift itself? So many of you guys know, you'll see this here, and we'll talk about the extension piece that's adjustable, but is the overall scope, I know you had the low, like, garage jack, which you guys still make, correct?
Yep.
So real low entry point on for those lowered vehicles.
Yeah.
But was the height extension also changed as far as the difference in RAM and height like that?
It changed other than the materials. So we started off offering an 8-inch extension, and it was all aluminum as well. And then as soon as we started offering the taller 15-inch extension in aluminum, as I mentioned, it moves up and back in an arc. So a lot of people, if they were using it in the dirt, the jack does have a tendency to bottom out, and that spreads the load through the lower the skid plate that's on the bottom. But at that point, you're not really rolling anywhere. So if you're not paying attention to what you're doing, we found that with the 15-inch extension, it was starting to pull sideways and bind as well. And the aluminum was, bending and at that lower point, at that attachment point. So, now the extension itself is stainless steel, and, so we had parts that were, just not working out correctly for what we wanted it to do, and we've made them stronger along the way. And, it's just transferring that load somewhere else now. Now we got to make that part stronger, and then it transfers the load somewhere else, and we've got to make that part stronger. So if people really paid attention to what they were doing, and we worked in a perfect world on a garage floor, it wouldn't really be any issue. But we don't work in perfect worlds. We work out in the dirt and, in the garage floor that's full of, zip ties and hoses and everything else. And
cracks in your car.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So those perfect worlds and scenarios are great, but it's just not what the real world enthusiast is seeing. So.
Yeah. I mean, and then when you start looking at like the construction, I mean, even just the snap ring, it wasn't like a press little. And I'm just talking about, so I noticed that the wheels, when we got it, you put the wheel on the axle, and it actually has a snap ring holding it in place, not like a press on. Remember those plastic clips with like your wagon wheels that you see on a lot of stuff? I see those things, in lesser quality jacks, but you guys actually put the snap ring on it. I mean, what would you say are, some of the key components or key benefits of just the construction of the jack itself?
Just the materials itself. And like you said, the snap rings, we've even learned with you're changing the material in that. When you got a guy that's never used snap ring pliers before, he puts a snap ring on there and he spreads them open, so they're 3 inches wide. And you're like, no, it doesn't even need to be a couple millimeters wide. So then he's calling you going, hey, my snap rings are all, bent out of shape, and they won't go on the wheel and they won't lock. So we've changed the material that won't allow him to go, open that wide.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, we provide the tool and, selling a jack that you have to put together and you've got to add snap rings onto it, selling it to this person that doesn't have snap ring pliers, is probably going to happen. So we had to find a source to buy small little snap ring pliers to include with it. So we try to think of everything that you would need and put it all in the box together. So.
Yeah, that tells you a funny story. So when we got our jacks for our class 11 from you, we were putting them together. We had one of the new guys in the team put it together. He's like, dude, these are cool, man. It even comes with like snap-ring pliers. We got to keep these. Like, do we got 3 pairs of them? Just go ahead and have fun with it.
I get comments all the time on the fact that, hey, these are the coolest snap-ring pliers I've ever had. Yeah. I keep them with me all the time and use them all the time now. So.
Yeah, they're just the right width of the thumb to really get it. Yeah. So, Trophy Burrow, thanks for chiming in, man. Question from Butch or Corey, which was in the camp at EMPI in Barstow. I borrowed it and it's awesome. I'm saving funds now for that. That was the 2-ton, I believe. We got the bigger one. Yes, I believe that's the 1.5, 2, and then 3, right?
Yep.
Yes, that was the 2-ton with the extension on it in our camp. So we've got them in our cars and in the camp and in the shop. I mean, I've had a jack scare. So I'm a proponent for it. I'm super stoked to be able to partner with you on it too. So this isn't like a sales commercial. We're not paid to do this. This is just something that we want to share with you guys, what we're using in the shop and what we're hopefully going to carry in the future. And we're working that out. We know we had a couple of EMPI dealers requesting it. So this is your chance to dig into things and talk about the urethane, pad mounts, and we're going to, how they twist and lock in. I mean, these shows are for you guys, and to get somebody, like Chuck in here to talk about the product is badass.
Yeah. Thank you.
So the evolution of it all, after we go from the low entry garage style jack that still uses traditional, I was cool because everybody loved that big wide steamroller kind of vibe.
Yep.
And then it went to the progression of the 1.5s, the big wheels, stuff like that. Now you've even progressed into CO2 powered stuff.
Correct. Yeah.
So tell me about those.
Yeah, so that's actually a product that used to exist from another company that now builds lights full time. Yeah, so they actually produced a similar product, or it started out this way. And we went to them, and they actually, it was a partnership deal. So they came to us. We were, interested in that product at the same time. So it was just perfect timing. Where they said, "Hey, look, we're a lighting company. We're not interested in building this jack anymore. And, you guys are the jack company. We have this product that we still get, 3 or 4 calls a month on, and people are still interested in it. And we haven't produced it in like 6 or 7 years. Oh, wow. So would you guys be interested in it?" So after a year of back and forth, and we finally bought the design from them. Their design was you had to screw in a CO2 cartridge directly into the jack itself. So as soon as it popped the seal, the jack immediately went to full lift. And then it was exactly the same way when you went to lower it. You just threaded the CO2 cartridge out of it and it dropped. So in today's day and age where people are not thinking about what they're doing often, we wanted to make it a lot safer and a little more user friendly. So number one, moving the user away from the moving product, or, the moving jack. So if you're lifting a car, you don't want to be right underneath it, screwing in a CO2 cartridge. And then to make it a little bit more user friendly, so they could go up 1 inch or they could go up 5 or 6 inches, whatever they needed to do, the same way coming back down. So we designed the regulator and all that to work together. We refined some of the internal components inside. And so it started off as a version of their product, and it ended up being, almost completely different from what they had, other than the way that it looks. So, so we're happy about that. And then we have, hopefully in April, we have a newer CO2 jack that's actually going to be, I hesitate because I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to talk about it yet. So it's a dual,
just in.
Yeah, it's a dual stage CO2 jack. So the problem with this one is it just is tall. And so if you're using it on a UTV or a VW or whatever it may be, and you have a flat tire, and you're pretty close to the ground now. So the dual stage allows you to start off 5 inches shorter and still get close to the same amount of lift height. So yeah, and that one partnering with Power Tank, it's got quite a bit more load capacity as well.
Very cool. Yeah. I just dig I like gadgets, in case you weren't sure. And then to have like the CO2 setup with the hose and then an adjustable valve, so you can slowly crack it essentially and go up without Mach 3 speed, essentially. Yeah. Shoot it off the jack as it goes up, I'm sure.
Yep.
And then a nice positive feeling release. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, check that out. There you go. But yeah, I think it's just, I just like the evolution of it all, like the thought process going into it. And it's like, I don't know if you, on the Austin side, you don't know how much if you handle any of that stuff, or you're just 100% focused on the Pro Eagle, the design development, all of it, because it just shows the attention to detail.
Yeah. So I still manage the accounts within the Austin International part. And Pro Eagle is now it's my baby. And, it started off with a fun side project, and, hey, we can probably do this. And we'll, cause the owner of the company is an enthusiast as well. So like I said, we just had fun at it, and then it grew and it grew and it grew and it grew, to where now it's its own animal, so we have employees dedicated to just Pro Eagle, and, just shipping Pro Eagle, and just the manufacturing process. And, we have a marketing team that helps with, advertising through social media and stuff like that. So, it was just me, and that was it, and I'm still the heart of the company, but, it's not just me anymore. So.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And I dig that stuff. So, and then this comes in like a cool carrying bag. Is this?
Yeah, so it comes with that case.
Try to show that.
Yeah, so the case, and then the regulator for CO2 cartridges. So it allows you to, throw it behind the seat, or in the back of the UTV, tie it down. And then for the guy that wants to mount it and really show it off, we have a quick disconnect roll bar mount as well. So similar to like a fire extinguisher, that's you can mount it on the car, and then we provide a little Velcro holder for like a holster, for the CO2 cartridges and the regulator and all that stuff. So everything's still right there and accessible.
Very cool. Now my wheels are turning on the new stuff.
Yeah.
I thought that was the coolest thing. You're like, Corey, it's just too big for your bug.
Yeah.
Damn it, man. It just looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not fair.
Yeah.
Got questions more. Moose? Yes. We're planning to carry some of these products here, and be able to distribute them through, obviously the added benefit of buying through us with our shipping and freight programs and everything else. So, just something we're really working on to make it happen. So, just got to make sense.
Yeah.
What would be some of the common misconceptions about the jack, or sticker shock or something like that? What are some of the things that you tell people just to educate them about? Or
well, sticker shock is the biggest thing. The number two thing is, it's just a spray painted black Harbor Freight jack, and like, no, I'm sorry, but it's it's not.
It's got to make your heart bleed a little bit when
it does. Yeah. So to create a product, and from its infancy into what it is today, to say it's just a painted copy of somebody else's, it is not. It's similar in the fact that a Yugo is the same thing as a Ford Super Duty. They're both automobiles, and they both get you where you want to go, but they're both vastly different. So it is a jack, and those other guys are jacks, but a scissor jack is a jack too. So it's not what those guys are. So that's the biggest thing is, I get through social media, you get the keyboard warriors that, and I can always tell through our social media marketing when I've reached an area or a customer or whatever that's never seen or heard of us before, because that's his instant reaction, and then he does a little bit of research, if he even bothers, and okay, well, and then it's it's $500, so that's it's too expensive, and my $45 farm jack still does the job, or whatever it may be, and it's okay, you're not my customer then. You know?
I dig too. So you're offering mounting holders or holster, bracket.
Yeah.
It's more than a bracket. It's really a full mount.
Yeah. So we try to offer the full package. The guy that's gonna, use it in his garage, he's never really gonna see or need the fact that he's gonna take it out on the trail. But 50-60% of our users take it out on the trail with them. The jacks that you guys use in the pits or whatever it may be, you're taking it out there in a Ford Super Duty or whatever. And if you've got to put them somewhere else on the race course, and they're chasing and they're setting up a pit somewhere, they don't want that jack, rolling around on the back of the truck. No. I always laugh at people that say, the huge benefit of the fact that it rolls so easy is, the fact that you can get it from here to there easily. But The bad part is it rolls so easy.
It makes dents going outward on the bed of your truck if you don't bolt it down or strap it down.
So we have a stainless steel bracket that bolts into any vehicle anywhere, and it holds the handles. The handle's a 2-piece, and it breaks apart, sits down in there. Now we even have, through one of your partners, Boxel Tools, we have a toolkit that sits in the middle of that as well. Wait a minute.
Boxel Tools got a toolkit that fits underneath that.
Yeah. All so they made a specific kit just for our jack mount.
Now I'm pissed. All right. Because I was on the phone with Lucas from Boxo today. I'm even wearing the damn hat. Yeah. All right. And we've got, and you'll see the shop. I mean, Boxo we're a good customer from Boxo. Yeah. By the way, none of the shop stuff was free. We're a good customer of Boxo. And there's a tool roll that fits under the jack, and Lucas or even Chad hasn't told me about that. Yeah, man. I have his car here right now. So frankly, Lucas, I'm sure, I know you're supposed to watch this episode. You might be missing parts, and I'm just gonna push it out back. Yeah, that's dirty.
Yeah, it's supposed to rain in the next couple of days.
I don't care. Yeah, it's a rust bucket, anyways. Right. That's right. It's a rust bucket. I said it. So it actually fits because, and guys, we'll probably do a little.
How amazing he is right now, buddy.
Okay, right now, you're packing 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound box in a bug. All right, yes. And space is limited. Right. I mean, the tool roll we have, and I love my Boxo tool roll. Thank you, but it fits. We had it behind Cameron's head, and then after we had to change it, we stuffed it under the seat. But it's still under the seat. And it's hard to get to, and it's frankly loose until we zip tie it back up or something happens. Yep. Now, if a nice tool roll fits underneath there, it really helps with space. Yeah, exactly. And it's not, I don't need a lot on the trail, like for that stuff, but damn.
Yeah. So we figured that 99% of the time when you're using a jack, you're changing a tire. So it comes with a breaker bar, 3 sockets, an extension, and then a valve stem tool.
Probably a nice 19 millimeter that we need for the vehicles.
Exactly. Yeah. So that all fits in there, custom, nice and tidy. The jack sits on top of it, pins through. You can run a padlock on it. And nobody ever knows it's there.
Yeah, or nobody even knew it existed.
Yeah, that's partly my fault and partly Lucas.
Oh no, I'm gonna get him because he's got to come pick up a check this week, so I'm really gonna get him. But that's the thing that I love about this too, in the industry itself, and really where I feel the industry is evolving. Is seeing 2 great companies kind of align themselves like you guys did with Boxo. I mean, there's 2 newly emerging kind of brands, I should say. Yeah. But they see benefit on both sides. They're trying to align themselves to build better in partnerships, and it's just great. I mean, that's what it's supposed to be about. Yeah. And I just love digging that stuff. So Lynn's saying, "Oh, Lucas, tisk. Yeah, you're gonna get it, buddy. I'm telling you, I'm gonna give him a hard time." So. But somebody didn't get the memo. I mean, everybody's having fun with this one now. So
the EMPI outsider.
Yeah, no kidding. I'll remember that when you want to. That's all right, buddy. He's not going to hear the end of that one, so it's going to cost him. But what would be kind of the? Is there? I'm trying to think of the best way to word it, because we already talked about like the next evolution, let's say, of that. But is there? I mean, really, where are we at? Like, what could be next? I mean, I'm almost curious. Like, you've thought about the bracket, even the pin that you guys put through it that's cable tied, with a nice coated cable with a clip. I mean, you've thought about that stuff. Yeah. And then the straps that go over it. So it's like a redundant catch. It's almost like a 3-phase catch system, because you've got the hooks for the front, you've got the pin for the rear, and then you've got the dual straps that go over it. So.
Yeah, and the straps actually came from a necessity of, people started carrying them inside the Jeep or inside a Toyota 4Runner or, whatever it may be, and they move inside the mount. They move because we wanted them to be fairly easy to get in and out of the mount. So you've got to build some slop into it. And by doing that, it allows the jack to move in there. And we've got a steel skid plate on top of a stainless steel mount, and it's moving. It doesn't make a beautiful noise. So the strap, the 1.5 ton, is a little bit different because we knew that those were going to get put in abuse situations. So it does take a little bit more work to get it into there, but it does fit tight. But the straps allow that to come open over it and hold it down to the mount and keep it from moving in the mount. So therefore, no more noise. So even on the 1.5 ton, this doesn't have it because it's a prototype, but the arm that moves up and down that keeps the arm centered, it's got spacers on the end of it and who cares? It's a spacer. It just allows the arm to stay at the correct distance from the arm. But by doing that and not making it precise and tight, it allows that arm to move. So that was another source of noise. So now on the new ones, it has, and I just posted it this morning, but it has a stainless steel spring instead of a spacer. So the spring still allows a little bit of movement, but it keeps tension on that arm and it keeps the vibration down and this eliminating noise.
Yeah. These are the thoughts, man, that you think about
Yeah.
I mean, how much thought goes into what a lot of people
Well
just
thought out.
want to go grab that floor jack and run with it,
Yeah.
And then the weight. So let's talk about some of the weight differences.
Yeah.
Where do you compare? What is your, I don't want to say marketing slogan to it all, but
obviously the stainless, I'm sorry, the solid axles and the wheels, they do add some weight to it. And we put the handle on the top now. People went crazy over the fact that we put the little carry handle on the top of it. I didn't think it was going to be that big a deal, but it's mind blowing to some people.
Well, it's like that fear of the pinched finger, man.
Yeah.
It's just nobody wants to pinch the finger. You're usually carrying this damn thing, and I'm sure everybody that's picked up a floor jack has mashed their finger or pinched it some way, shape, or form. So being able to grab, like I just carried that up the whole stairs just with one arm, bringing it up. It's like that wasn't bad with the damn handle on it. So again, they're not light, but they're not heavy. It's all aluminum construction. The 1.5 ton has a steel lift arm, but for the most part, it's still pretty light. The benefit is rolling resistance. There isn't any. So dragging a normal floor jack across the floor, even if it's a nice, garage floor, it still takes some effort. Whereas this, if you're not careful, it'll roll away on you. Yeah. So, even if it is a little bit heavier, because of the extra products that are on it, the ease of movement outweighs that. So just even although I'm just thinking about all the different little features to it all, and I kind of geek out on things, that. But I mean, as a self-proclaimed car guy, I mean,
this guy. This guy.
No, but I mean, you've had enough time to see in the shop and stuff like that. I mean, first looks, I mean, it's aesthetically appealing. It's not really a hideous color. I mean, there's a lot of cool things to it. So, and then I saw this really caught my eye. This was something new on the new jacks. Cause I mean, before the top really looked like that, right?
Yep.
Show it over here.
So we'll show this one. This is kind of what the pad used to look like, kind of the traditional, non-slip little scuff pad, if you will.
Yeah.
And then this. So tell me a little bit about the first thing that caught my mind. It says made in USA. So I like that.
Yeah. So actually, another urethane company in the USA is building that for us. So we're not producing that product, but they did build it, to our measurements and our specifications. And again, in that mating surface that I talked about earlier, where that aluminum piece, and now it's stainless steel, it's still somewhat susceptible to damage. So we had to go with that rubber piece. So that rubber piece and the tolerance in there have to be so loose to get the extension in and out of there or whatever. Most people lose this rubber piece within, a day or two of using it. So we came up with that polyurethane piece to go onto the jack base itself, to further protect that mating surface. So you're not having any metal to metal contact. If you've got a chassis that's powder coated and painted and you want to keep it nice, you can use that on there and you won't have any metal to metal surface contact.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting too. Like we're trying to show on the camera here is it has it has grooves in it to where it picks up the fingers.
It actually snaps into place. So it's you have to pull it out. It won't just accidentally fall out.
Yeah. It has like a lip on it. And that's kind of what grabs it. And that's what I wanted to kind of talk about too. Is, everybody, it looks the same like a traditional floor jack with that little 4-fingered cup. And then these extensions twist and lock into those. This camera, there we go. Those fingers twist and lock into the jack. So I wanted to kind of set that out there too, because I know people are like, oh, I'm just going to set this extension on my jack and lift it up. Like, no.
Yeah.
They actually sit in and kind of lock into place. And it sets in and you twist it and those fingers lock into the other finger. I mean, it's a simple, essentially concept, but
it's like we talked about earlier, the stacking the 4x4 block on there, it's not going to stay upright. You got to put pressure on it and then it stays. And, if the jack moves, then the wood wants to fall off or whatever. So this keeps it on the jack where it's supposed to be and allows that strength and leverage. So
the pivoting and Ever have any like some scary R&D moments?
Yes, yeah, R&D, and then we've had some customers where you definitely scratch your head and go, you probably should have called AAA.
Yeah,
yeah,
using them to space out, and now you've you really kind of picked up in the Ford Raptor market, and just some of those ready to go setups.
yeah. It's almost second nature to the Raptor guys. You don't really have a Raptor unless you have a Pro Eagle. So, and that's cool. That goes into part of the evolution of the product. You can have the greatest product in the world, but if you don't have a brand that people recognize or want to use or want to buy or want to affiliate themselves with, then I'm sorry, but you just have a $500 paperweight. So, creating that brand and creating the need for a Pro Eagle. We shared stories beforehand. We have people send me pictures all the time that says, "Hey, I just finally used my jack, and here's a picture of me using it, and I've had it for 2 years." Like, well, what do you mean you've had a jack for 2 years and it's just the first time? So, they just had to have a Pro Eagle. I'm not cool unless I got a Pro Eagle, so I had to get one. So
yeah. I mean, cool factor aside too, it's a good thing that somebody didn't have to use a jack for 2 years.
That is true. Yeah.
It's just part of the thing. Jonathan Pickett said we didn't mount some of those so that like a F1 car on the bug would just hit him with those to knock him down.
I've actually had a number of UTV people think about that and ask me, could we mount it upside down? And I'm like, yeah, you're thinking about putting it inside a car using it on board jacks, right? I'm like, yeah. You ever had anybody do that? I'm like, no, not yet. So
yeah. You be the first. Go ahead. I'll watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Just call me when you fire it for the first time because I want to see
it. Make sure you get video of that.
You guys do sell direct.
We do.
Correct. And then you've got big distributors too, like 4-wheel parts and don't forget our local guys like McKinsey's and and then you're running a MAP program.
We do, yeah. So we don't compete against pricing with those guys. We want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Our vendors do a pretty good job at policing each other.
Yes,
if somebody's violating it, I usually get a call, and they're usually pretty good about changing it right away. So we've had a few, say over Black Friday, it's already Thursday night, Friday morning, whatever it is. And, somebody sends me a text and, hey, did you know so-and-so is selling it at this price? And, I have a pretty good relationship with almost all of my vendors. And so I can reach out to them personally. And so I'll send a text message to, and it was an online retailer. This was just this past holiday. And he's like, oh, man, I'm sorry, man. There's nothing I can do until we go back into work on Monday or Tuesday or whatever it was. And I'm like, well, by Tuesday, you guys are going to be cut off. I'm sorry. But, you can't use that excuse of, oh, I'm sorry, so-and-so made a mistake and hit the wrong button. I'm like, it just doesn't work,
Yeah.
And it was fixed. It was fixed within 24 hours. So, they just tried to play that game of, oh, I'm sorry, nobody's going to be there. We can't fix it. Thinking that, it was just going to slide for a while. But, most of them, like I said, are pretty good about it, and they fixed it, and nobody got into trouble for it. So,
well, good. And then on the flip side of that, how do you ensure that people are buying the authentic? I mean, we've seen copycats.
Yeah, and that's the disheartening part.
Watch Chuck get red real quick.
Yeah. So, when we first started off, and it's more than just the product. I created the product, or with the help of Austin, and we worked back and forth, and we went through almost a year of revisions before we even launched the product. And, once you have a product, like I said earlier, you're only halfway there. You have to create a need for it. You have to create brand awareness. You have to create a want for that product. And to get those people to stand behind it and to back it and stuff like that was the harder part of the problem. And, for years I sat at, in my booth in Off-Road Expo, and people were like, oh, you're crazy. Harbor Freight's $100 and you're selling a $300 jack, Well, if they did the math and realized what product was on it and what they had to do to modify their Harbor Freight jack, they would actually save money buying my product over the Harbor Freight. But I saw those people a year later, and they said, yeah, you're right. I had to replace mine twice, or I had to do this, or I had to do that. But in just creating that, I used a lot of connections and friends in the off-road industry or in off-road racing, and said, hey, hey, I have this product. And the racers got it. They got it immediately, because they had the need. it was the lifted truck guys or, the UTV guys, for instance, or whatever, where I don't want to say they're cheapskates, but like it was again, it was sticker shock. It was like, well, why do I need that? And then you're like, okay, well, where's those, big lumber, when you're out in Glamis, yeah, you lift in your garage with, a big 4x4, but once you got to Glamis, where is that? Oh, you burnt it last night. Now what do you do? How do you change the tires on your car to get it back into the trailer? Like, oh yeah, you're right. So, and, buy one jack that does your Super Duty and the UTV. So, but just creating those, those fans and those people to stand behind it. And, I'm not one to pat myself on the back, but, social media was key to our growth, and content is key to social media.
Yeah.
And, I'd sit at a trade show for 2 hours after the show closed, and I'd show up to the next day 2 hours before it opened, and I'd push my 3-ton jack around, and I'd find a cool truck, and I'd jack it up, and I'd stand back and take a picture, and then I'd go find another one, and I'd stand
some dude come out there. What the hell are you doing with my truck?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And oh, okay, it's a Pro Eagle. Those are badass jacks. I want to buy one of those, whatever. So, but that gave me content for the next, 3 weeks or whatever it was. And then I'd hear people going, dude, at Off-Road Expo or at SEMA or whatever, every vehicle that was there had your jack underneath it. I'm like, how'd you know that? And, oh, because I was watching your social media feed and I saw it. Yeah. Okay, well, not all of them had it. It was one jack that I pushed around to every single vehicle at the show, but like I said, it created that, like, oh, those cool guys are using that jack, so I want to have it. And now those cool guys really do have that jack, and it's not just the one that I'm pushing around, so that's been cool for me to see that, I don't have to do that anymore, that it is the cool product that they're using. But to have somebody take that and go, thank you for that success, and let's knock it off and build a cheaper version.
Yeah.
And there are cheaper versions out there now, but we've got them in and we've dissected them, and they're cheaper. And they're actually, the price tag on it is, there's one out there now, and it's not cheaper. It's more expensive than my jack. But it is much cheaper built. Yeah. The extension doesn't even twist into place. And, there's just so much that I'm like, you had no idea what you were copying. You were just copying. And it's disheartening, it's disheartening for those people that have helped me build the brand, and for guys like you that stand behind it and say, hey, this is what you need. This is what you need to use. And then they went, thank you. We're going to build that, and we're going to do it cheaper, So
yeah, we've been watching your posts too. That's what they're like. Yeah, we've been watching your posts, so we know. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough realm to be in, man, and I don't envy it.
Yeah,
at all.
We knew copycats were coming. We just, it's sad that it happened, but it's okay. We didn't invent the jack market. We just made it better. So, we knew that somebody was going to go, oh, we can do that too. So,
but I mean, you talked to a good subject too, that we kind of forget to touch on from time to time, is the social media stuff. And we really try to push that. We push that. We push it. We talk about it, but remind people to start using the Giphies. You've got little Giphies in place. So you've got some cool,
you actually created those for us.
Yeah,
awesome.
Man over there helped a big push of it. So, it's just one of the things that we were able to make it happen, man. And we weren't trying to go into that route. I thought it was your little secret, but but utilize that stuff. Be infectious, have fun with your photos, have fun with your pictures. And if if you're excited about a product, I mean, will you talk about him and his, he's really into bicycles and mountain bikes, stuff like that. He had fun creating different gifts and utilizing on things, but that stuff gets noticed. And for your sponsored drivers and the people you support, I get out there and support them, but use those gifts, because they really do work, and they work in multiple different realms. And everybody likes something cool and different. Yeah,
definitely.
So I don't know if you caught, I mean, we had to have a little fun with you. Larry Negrete Jr., the 516 guys that I brought to the shop.
Yeah.
They're in their 516 car, they have just a regular bumper lift jack. Mm-hmm. And after using the Pro Eagle, they were all butthurt about it and teased me, and then they bagged out themselves and they put Bro Eagle on it when they were jacking up the car. So shout out to the Bro Eagle guys down in.
I get Bro Eagle a lot, and I get Poor Eagle a lot too. So. Yeah.
After you break the bank, but it's all relative, right? I mean, racing's not cheap. Some people lose sight of it. It's like, oh God, I need to have, this tire, and if you don't have a tire sponsor, tires $300 or more.
Yeah.
And it's like, you need spares. And it's like, Well, you need something to work the tires, right? You need to be able to go out and do it and not have to worry about it. Or I think a lot of people don't think about, the seals and the ram itself, giving up the ghost.
Yeah.
And then what? You're stuck in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
You're going to beat yourself to try to get a tire off. So you're going to tear up your front suspension or A-arm or something to try to get up somewhere to make it to where you can change it because your $50, $60, $80 jack that was less expensive failed and now shitting oil all over the nice desert floor. So it's
and we're not without our problems. We have issues, and we've had a lot in the beginning because we were learning how to make it work for what we needed to do. But the part that makes us different is I can sympathize with that. I don't want to ever have a jack fail, especially in a racing situation. I come from racing. I started racing when I was 15. My dad raced since I was 3 or 4 years old. And I get it. I don't want to ever have a product that fails in a race situation, but they do. And they have. But that immediate contact where after the race is over, they call me and they go, Chuck, this is what happened. All right, here's a replacement jack. Let me get yours back. I'm going to tear it apart and find out why. That way I can eliminate that problem so it doesn't happen to the next guy. So, you're not going to get that somewhere else. You're not going to get that, from, hey, I bought this from Amazon, and hey, dear Amazon, my jack doesn't work anymore. What do I do? Sorry, your 90-day warranty is up. You're screwed. So.
Butch question says, do you service the jacks or is there rebuild kits for it, or what do we do?
So we started off offering service kits, and the 5 or 6 people that we offered service kits to, all of them called us back with a bucket of parts going, what do I do? So now we just offer full replacement pumps. So whether it's a 1.5, 2 or 3 ton, with minor mechanical ability, you can take the jack apart and just replace the whole pump. And that's only if it's outside of the 2-year warranty. If it's within the 2-year warranty, our warranty is a full replacement. So if you have proof of purchase and you can prove that you bought it from one of our vendors or whatever it is, and it's within those 2 years, then we send you a jack first. You take the old one, you put it in the box, and then you send it back with the shipping label that we provide and get it back to us. If you can't prove that you bought it from us, you can't prove how old it is, we're just guessing on the fact, we can look up the serial number, but we usually don't make people give us a serial number. If it's questionable, then we make them send us their defective jack first. And then as soon as we get it, we send the replacement to them. So they're still getting a new jack, but we just make them go through that extra step first.
So we covered the 2-year warranty. That was one thing we talked about. What do you think about buying the pump head in advance and kind of keeping it around just so you have a spare, throw it in the trailer?
Sure. I mean, there's no reason why not to. We talk about it. I have a friend that has an LED whip company, and he's always his product is 3 times more expensive than the other guys too. But they have a lifetime warranty. They'll exchange it anytime. What good does that lifetime warranty do when you roll a car out of the trailer and it doesn't work? Now you're out in Glamis and their one product that you have to be legal doesn't work. What do you do then? So we do have that. You could have an extra pump in the trailer, and if you do need it, it's fairly quick to replace. Takes 30 minutes or so. Out on the side of the race course isn't going to do you much good, but they're not expensive at all. I think our 3-ton is $50.
That's for the big dog.
Yeah,
very cool. So, and then really the other thing you started to skim the surface on, and then we kind of worked a little bit backwards on the interview, but what I want to instill too is that you are a racer. You come from the racing background. You touched on it with your dad. I mean, let's elaborate a little bit about that, if you will, just to share so that people get to know Chuck, and then they'll understand that you do care about the racer. I mean, it's sincere.
Yeah. So I like I said, my dad raced ever since I can remember. And to be honest with you, that's all that I ever wanted to do. I wanted to be a race car driver. Nobody ever told me that, race car drivers don't get paychecks, you got to pay to go racing, So, but there was, those rare few, like in my time, it was Walker Evans and Rod Hall and Larry Schwackefer and all these people that, were racing, and they were the guys that I looked up to. and, Ivan Stewart, and I wanted to be like them. They're professional race car drivers. So they did it, I can do it.
Yeah.
So, and little did I know that I had to work, 2 or 3 jobs just to be able to afford to go to racing. So like I said, once I was able to afford it myself, and I did literally work 2 jobs, and, I had a paycheck that from the one job that, I had, my mom came to me one time, and she's like, hey, you got like 2 months worth of paychecks in there. Those are only good for so long. You need to do something with them. Like, because I was saving up to buy a race truck, and my first race truck was actually my dad's old race truck. So one of his he had raced for a while, and then he had a partnership and got out of it, and that guy sold it. And then the person that had it just parked in his garage and never used it. And I had found it and I wanted it. So I bought it back with all those paychecks that I saved. And I think I was in my late teens when I raced it for my first time.
Wow.
And but it was my daily driver as well. So I drove it back and forth to work at Toys R Us. And
that's a lot of generational gap here. I'm surprised you remember where Toys R Us was.
Yeah, and then raced on the weekends. So I only could afford to race it. I think I raced maybe 3 or 4 times, 2 or 3 times, maybe in 1 year. And I did that for a couple years, and graduated through different vehicles, raced a Class 8 truck for a long time. I had a partnership for a while with a guy that had a 7S truck. I have had I shouldn't say a marketing ability. I guess ability is the right word. I wasn't educated in it or whatever. I just was good at it, was good at delivering what sponsors wanted, and we're able to get a lot of sponsorships. I was able to bring that to the table. He had a truck with no sponsors. I had sponsors with no trucks. So it was a good fit for both of us. And together we went on and won 3 championships in a row. In 2007, we won every single score race in our class, finished every mile of every race. So that was pretty amazing. And then moved to short course racing, and I sucked at that. Babying a truck to make it live for 1,000 miles doesn't work in a short course environment. Those guys don't let off when they're in the air, that kind of stuff. And I wasn't used to that, so the learning curve was incredible, and I just didn't get it fast enough. And then life happened, and had to move out of racing. And now I do Pro Eagle. And so now I'm trying to weasel my way back into it, So I'm co-driving for a lot of people, and I've had an opportunity to drive some trucks. Made a lot of really good relationships. My girlfriend has a chance now through us to get in a car and co-drive.
Very cool.
For another lady that I sponsor that's racing a UTV. She absolutely loves it. So it's been good. It's been good for me to create those relationships, to get back into it. And hopefully I'll have my own car that I'm racing again someday too.
Very cool. Lucas Hand chiming in says, what 3 classic race cars in off-road would you like to have? Good question, by the way. Yeah. I like it.
I love Walker Evans full-size Dodge. I love looking inside those things, and on the floorboard, you could lay down and take a nap on the floorboard of those trucks.
Really?
Now it's a cockpit. The driver is so tight in there, and the co-driver is so tight in there that there's no room for anything. But it's funny to look inside the full-size trucks and see all that giant firewall up there. Like, man, what do you do with all that space? It's Walker Evans' truck, Ivan Stewart's Toyota.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to have that thing. And maybe Mickey Thompson's Challenger 2, the one with a big wing on the back of it. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
good. See, that's a good question. Wait, Lucas, way to add something positive to the show for once, man. Normally, guys just usually talking shit and busting our balls about bumpers, but he's on his own. He must be, chilling by his nice new backyard.
Yeah, worrying about his car. He's trying to be nice to you. Worrying about his car.
Yeah, we'll get him. Jason Wagstaff says, I think Chuck needs an 11 car. Have you driven or been or raced her?
I have not, and I would love the opportunity to do that. Yeah. We always look at those and thought we're stuck in a 4-wheel drive Chevy S10 on a hill that's full of silt and, whatever. And it's quite embarrassing when a class 11 just drives right up it and doesn't slow down. Yeah. So I've always thought that, they take so much abuse and whatever, but I've heard a lot of feedback from drivers saying it really isn't that bad, because it's, you got a grade on a curve. It looks like it's violent, but you're only going 35 or 40 miles an hour. So it's not really all that violent. And the suspension and the power and all that stuff is where it should be, or where it needs to be for the vehicle. And it's not as bad as what you would think coming from those other cars. So
yeah, gotta do it. We're gonna, my goal is to get you in it then, at least.
I would love it.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Darren Zumpson says, McMillan's old Class 1 Beam car, Walker Evans Ram Charger, and the 5 Unlimited. So
yeah,
I mean, that's what's funny is it still cracks me up, and this just resonates to kind of what we preach here a lot of times is you're talking about the legends of the sport, Ivan Stewart, all this stuff, and then there's still enough room for some VW somewhere in there to be a part of it, and that's what's fun, man, for us too. What do you ever see factory support coming back?
Not outside of UTVs, no. There's a new electric car team that's going to race the San Felipe in a few weeks. So in a roundabout way, but when you're talking about Chevy, Ford, and Dodge, I don't think so. Ford is involved with Best in the Desert, and obviously the King of the Hammers. They were pretty heavily involved out there. But it's somewhat undercover. You don't have a factory Ford ride out there anymore. Yeah. You do have that in UTV. You have that with the wars between Can-Am and Polaris and Honda and all that stuff. So you have those manufacturer wars now. But I think it's going to be limited to that. And as the world goes to more electric cars and away from oh, you guys are screwing up the environment and all that stuff, then it may be politically incorrect to be involved with off-road racing in 20 or 30 years from now. So.
But meanwhile, the mining's for the electric cars, and
right?
We won't go down that road. Right? That's a whole other animal.
Yeah.
Larry Negrete Jr. says you need to go for a ride in the 516 with him. So
absolutely,
we'll have to drag you out for the next one and show us how to properly use the jack and get some good.
That's why.
That car's fun, man. It's definitely a different ride. So glad to have him. One of the new segments that I'm kind of starting on the show today, and it's been touched on a lot, and we did a whole show about it. What would you say? Because we hear sponsorship, and I know you're live my life in a lot of realms too. Is everybody's knocking on your door, right? And we're all here. You want to help, and you want to help, and you want to help, but we got to understand and paint the picture. How are you going to do? Because the days of just slapping a sticker on the car and running on down the road are gone.
Correct.
Can you, and I'm going to start asking every guest that's involved in this, and you're the first one. So can you elaborate or tell people or give some insight to what does Chuck and Pro Eagle look for sponsorship and partnership and help to guide these people to understand things that they need to do to separate themselves to show that return on investment, or for us?
For me, I have two different ways of looking about it. Number one, and the good-hearted way, is people that just need help. People that I can relate to because I was there. I'm just starting out. I'm just getting into racing. Whatever it may be, and I'll do anything for whatever help that you can give me. Those people generally I'll help. The people that come to me asking for, hey, I'm not asking for anything for free. Do you have a racer program? Maybe they'll go on my racer program for a few months or a year, or whatever it may be. And then I'm like, if you're willing to buy product, then I should be willing to help you a little bit more. So those guys sometimes get a little bit more. But like I mentioned before, I was good with marketing and stuff like that. And I brought, a partnership to, the table with the guy that owned the truck before. But what I was doing with, and I'm dating myself here, but what I was bringing to the table was, PRP seats and Maxxis tires and Pro Comp wheels and Pro Comp suspension and all that stuff. After a race, I sent them a briefing on here's what happened. Here's high resolution pictures, here's, what we're doing at the next week or next month or whatever it is. And here's our schedule. So those people were using those images, Stuart Warner gauges. They were using those images in their catalogs, paper catalogs at the time. So our primary sponsor was Maxxis Tires. So when it came time to renegotiate, contracts with them and how much tires or how much money they're going to give us next year, I went with, here's a stack of catalogs that we're either on the cover on, the back cover on, or we're on pages, we've got a full page spread on, these guys, Chuck Foreman, used our product in, the Baja 1000 and they won. And this is the same product that you can put in your car. So here's 10 different catalogs that we put Maxxis Tires into in front of all of those people. This is being distributed to SEMA and all their, all their other distributors and all that stuff are seeing your product and your decals and your image in their catalogs. Now those catalogs are social media, so when you say, I've got, Raceline wheels and I've got this and I've got that, whatever it may be, but those guys are just giving you product and they're not talking about you and they're not, reposting any of your pictures. They're not doing any of that stuff. Sometimes there's a reason why. So if I'm just putting, and I'm different too, because my product until this isn't on the vehicle, it's not visible. So just seeing a little sticker on there doesn't really do much good. So what are you bringing to the table as a whole? All of your sponsors see you as a marketing partner, or are you just somebody that they sponsor? And if you're a partner, then it brings me into it as well, because then I can become a partner too. And I can leverage those relationships you have, because they're going to share your product or your pictures of your race car. They're going to say that, you finished, or you were the first to roll, and here's the pictures of whatever it may be. And, I can get my advertising dollars back from that way. In addition to what you're doing through social media, or you're, going to car shows, or you're volunteering at hospitals, or whatever it is, to bring more to the table than just a race car and a sticker. A race car and a sticker does nothing for me. So.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
And that's perfect. I mean, this is exactly what we want to hear. We want other people to hear it. We want other vendors and manufacturers and things to hear that kind of stuff, because it's not, I don't want to always be a dickhead. That's not my style, man. That's not what we want to do. We want to help people. We want it to grow, right? Yeah. You want it to grow, not just you want to sell more product, but you're passionate about racing.
Yeah.
So if you do that, then, you want more people to be in the class. You want to have people where you have to qualify to fit in the freaking class, short course stuff, not just, there's enough people to get there. So, I mean, dude, that's perfect. And that's I love the perspective, and you made it broken down and simple for even Lucas Hand to understand. So we'll have a good time. Got him. Man, other than that, dude, this hour went by quick, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
So, dude, thank you so much. And I hope you guys that are watching and listening and chiming in and just contributing to just helping build a bitchin' brand and a local dude that wants to do right, that wants to build some great product, and that'll take care of you on the customer service side, which is very hard to find these days. Even before we even had a partnership, I had a problem, took care of me. One of the wheels on my jacket, or the old first edition garage floor jack. No problem, dude. Here's one. And it was my fault. So, again, thank you so much for being a part of it. Thank you for trusting in the EMPI racing team and supporting what we're doing.
Yeah,
and we're going to show you guys around. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, man. Chuck was obviously, I can't say it enough, just builds a really good product, down to earth dude, and we'll gladly answer any of your questions. I'm glad some of you guys chimed in and heard the story about Pro Eagle. Other than that, that's it, man. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. It's been fun. It's been real. We're going to do some other stuff coming up, like we talked about before. If you guys like the show, give us a thumbs up, share us, like it. Make sure you hit the follow button, please, and not just like it. Make sure you follow what we're doing, and utilize those Giphies and things of the such. Not just for Pro Eagle, but for EMPI, for the EMPI Insider. Some of the EMPI race team cars are already up. We are putting, I think, what are we up to, Jesse? Probably 50 at least Giphies now. I mean, I don't know any other companies out there. Maybe Nike or somebody's got some other crazy stuff, but we're going to keep putting new stuff out almost weekly, or at least a couple a month. Just different fun stuff. Recently added the Negrete's 516 cars. So if you're a Negrete Boys race fan, check them out. And if you're Pro Eagle, check them out. Check out their banners, do some of the stuff. But stay tuned, stay up to date. We're going to be working down the shop this weekend. Exciting news again. I talk about it. April 10th and 11th, the short course, Chuck's favorite short course series is coming back up. The gas series, Great American Short Course, which will include class 11 guys. So if you guys like watching class 11 and you like to watch us smash fenders and get crazy and put it up on two wheels in a short course setting, Victorville Fairgrounds, April 10th and 11th, and should be a blast. Also, Kurt Leduc's the swap meet this weekend in Johnson Valley is going down. If you're hungry for some off-road parts and pieces and bits and whatever else you'll find out there, get out there Friday because it's going to be gone, and by Saturday evening, the deals will be gone. I have never been to that, and Zumston's trying to like, dude, you got to get out here and come check it out.
You do, yeah. It's I went once and I showed up on Saturday afternoon and everything was gone.
I don't even know what to expect. It sound like I need to bring some money with me.
Yeah.
Other than that, guys, thank you so much again for tuning in, making us the fastest growing Volkswagen based show on the internet. And we'll be back next week with a new guest, new show, and the same time as always. We'll catch you next week. See you. Mahalo.